After 25 years of marriage, I lost my life's work, selling properties worth millions while I was in a psych ward. My husband said, "How was I supposed to know you couldn't think?" Now I'm broken, desperate to hold on to him while grappling with the wreckage of our financial dreams. How could everything unravel so fast? First post received 2 replies that were not helpful. This is lengthy. I have been married for 25 years. In 2005, I purchased land and dedicated 10 years to building a cottage that I envisioned for retirement. My husband disliked it working on it, despite having summers off, which included mowing the lawn and bringing in the docks, so we sold it in 2016, even though it was my pride and joy. In 2016, I was involved in a serious car accident while my husband was driving, and I was bedridden until 2017 when I underwent surgery. I was prescribed a lot of opioids. My husband claims I blame him for not having surgery sooner, and I am unsure if that is true because my memory was deteriorating due to the opioids, and I agree to take his word on it. In 2019, I decided to stop taking opioids at my request since my memory was diminishing, and they prescribed cannabis for anxiety and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. At that time, I was still unable to work. I asked my husband if we could purchase a condo by the water to replace the cottage, but he declined, stating it would not generate rental income. I thought it might be beneficial for me to engage in rental properties to keep myself busy. I bought a condo, then a new construction, which was not ready until 2023, and then purchased 2 lots in 2020. In 2020, my husband threatened divorce and I requested therapy, but he insisted that the issues were entirely my fault. I suggested perhaps getting a new house due to the negative memories in our current home. We planned to move, and I decided to leave him to date an ex-boyfriend from college. I informed my husband that I intended to move in with him. My husband chose to remain in the house for the sake of our children who were finishing university. Unbeknownst to me, I had become manic due to cannabis. I had consulted a psychiatrist a few months earlier who said nothing was wrong with me. My relationship with my ex did not last long, only a month before I rented a place. Subsequently, my husband agreed to marriage counseling. A friend suggested that instead of renting, I should buy a place, utilizing her son as my real estate agent. My husband and I also purchased a winter home in Arizona on a golf course for him. My husband and I viewed several properties, and I began to feel increasingly psychotic. I yelled at him, claiming he was a jail guard, and insisted that we needed to buy something before the snow arrived. In a moment of clarity, I wrote to him and the real estate agent, stating that we could not afford another home and expressing my wish not to let the mortgage broker manage our finances, as I did not want to break a fixed-rate mortgage. I requested the realtor to cease contacting me. I noted that we needed to sell our lots and perform an assignment sale of the new condo, as I did not want to incur that much debt. 2 weeks later, the realtor convinced my husband to share our financial information with the mortgage broker to consider a variable rate of 1.3%, while we were locked in at 2.94%. Later, the real estate agent informed my husband that he had buyers for our lots, and my husband asked him to contact me, expressing doubt about my willingness to sell them. The agent then approached me, claiming he found the perfect home, adding that offers were due in a day. He insisted that he absolutely had buyers for our lots, but they were on vacation. I became delusional again due to the cannabis and believed this was a sign from God, indicating that I was meant to have this home for practicing magic, despite never having practiced it before. It was a log home in a remote area on acreage. I did not consider how I would maintain it given my disability. My husband approved the purchase without questioning my interest in practicing magic or any other concerns. He stated that he felt guilty for making us sell our cottage because I was upset about it. The agent also persuaded me that it was a wise decision, as the condos would pay for themselves and the log home. This turned out to be falsehoods regarding that and having buyers for the lots. We later sold the lots using another realtor. I moved into the log home in 2022 and began becoming more psychotic. I was misusing cannabis, tearing thermostats off the walls, believing my house would explode. My husband would come on Saturdays to assist with grocery shopping, and I would share some of my paranoia with him, which made him angry, and he said he could not deal with this any longer. Over the next year, I visited several hospitals, all of which reported that nothing was wrong with me. Eventually, my sister advised my husband that I must have a brain tumor and urged him to obtain help for me. In July 2023, I was involuntarily committed to a psychiatric ward. In January 2023, we finalized the sale of the new condo, which I had suggested doing an assignment sale on. I later asked my husband if we could afford for our son to live there, and he said yes, but that was not true. At that point, we owed $1 million in mortgage debt, and our home equity line of credit was maxed out at $350,000. Interest rates had soared from 1.3% to 7%, and I was unaware of this as I had become detached from reality, and my mail was going to my husband, who did not inform me. After my release from the hospital, I recognized our financial situation and immediately listed the log home for rent and the new condo for sale. The first tenant only stayed for 1 month before we attempted to rent again, but the potential tenants seemed unreliable. I subsequently experienced a complete nervous breakdown, informing my husband that I did not know what to do since the new condo was not selling, and I wondered whether we needed to sell the Arizona property. I couldn't think straight, so I needed him to make decisions. At that point, I could hardly speak. My husband asked if he could think about it, and I urged him to do so. That is precisely what I was requesting. I was still paranoid, expressing concerns that Arizona would run out of water. He returned and suggested we consult a realtor in Arizona. We did so, and the realtor convinced my husband to sell immediately in November before the snowbirds arrived. I requested my husband to communicate with the property manager, who I was dealing with as the place was rented from January to March, but he refused. I disagreed with the realtor's proposed price and commission, but my husband insisted we go with it. Consequently, we sold my beloved retirement home within a day for $75,000 below market value, including all furniture and belongings for free. A real estate agent purchased it, and we paid her commission as well. We then rented it out 3 weeks later for our son to use. We also sold our log home at a $130,000 loss. I did not realize we would no longer own these properties, which reflects my cognitive impairment at the time. My husband shouted at me, asking how he was supposed to know that. I questioned him why he did not analyze our financial situation because Arizona had been our most profitable rental at $4,000 a month. When we discussed divorce, I had stated I would not touch his pension and I would simply utilize the rental income. The other properties barely broke even due to the enormous interest rate. I also explained that we wanted Arizona for our retirement to spend 6 months of the year there, particularly since it was on a golf course for him. I am devastated about all of this. My psychiatrist, who questioned my husband why he did not seek help for me over 2 years, as psychosis can cause permanent brain damage, informed me that I did not have the capacity to consent. I sought to challenge the sales legally, but I was informed that since my husband signed, it was presumed he explained everything to me. I am now deeply depressed, as the things I have worked for in life are gone, my cottage in Arizona. Had we retained the cottage, it would have tripled in value during the COVID-19 pandemic. Arizona would have likely been worth close to $1 million in rental income over the next 20 years. It was also fully paid for. I purchased it at a favorable price and exchange rate. Additionally, the rent would have covered the mortgage on the log home. I dwell on this constantly, feeling as though my life's purpose has vanished and we have squandered our wealth and generational wealth. My husband expresses that he cannot continue living like this, as he is unhappy due to my tendency to ruminate and blame him for our property situation. I have attended therapy for 6 months and have been prescribed antidepressants, but they are not making a difference. My husband maintains that he does not trust me, and when I inquire why, he initially claimed it was due to fidelity, accusing me of having affairs with 2 men I used to work with, which I did not. Then he stated it was because he believes I am using him for his anticipated inheritance, though our properties would have generated more income than his inheritance. He also claims we have differing priorities. He puts family first, while I am primarily concerned with money. I have been a very good mother. Next, he insists that I am incapable of moving forward. I counter that I was the one planning our retirement, but I have been set back by 20 years due to selling everything. Finally, he says it is because I blame him for everything. In response, I asked ChatGPT if I am overreacting, detailing what transpired and how to express my hurt without accusing my husband. I told my husband I cannot prevent him from divorcing me, and he stated he still contemplates it. I love my husband, but I am also disabled and rely on him. I became estranged from all my friends and family during my psychotic episodes, friends I have known for 45 years and my sisters, as I behaved irrationally. My only remaining support consists of my husband and grown children. I feel remorseful and ashamed of my behavior, grateful that my husband took me back, yet resentful that he did not safeguard our family's wealth. I feel as though our financial security was stripped away from us, and I recognize much of it was my responsibility. However, I did experience moments of clarity when I insisted on avoiding debt or switching to a variable rate. Ultimately, I lost my sanity and approved such decisions. Additionally, I had the insight to acknowledge that I was not thinking clearly and requested my husband's assistance, stating I could not think straight. I was the one who initially suggested selling the Arizona property due to persistent paranoia and a belief that our new build would never sell and that Arizona would run out of water. Both notions were absurd. We simply needed to lower the price on the new build. My husband questioned how he was supposed to know I was not in a rational state of mind, to which I replied that I had just been discharged from a psychiatric ward a couple of months earlier, was rendered speechless, and told him I could not make decisions. He then claimed that being around me led him to make terrible decisions, suggesting that my paranoia might have been affecting him. I explained to him that all he needed to do was help keep me calm and slow down the process, as Arizona was already rented, so there was no rush. He could have waited until my mental state improved or involved our financial advisor or consulted others. My husband informed me that following our sales he had no idea what Zillow or Redfin were, which only added to my frustration. If he knew nothing about properties, he should have directed me to have someone else make decisions on my behalf, as I might as well have had dementia. I am utterly devastated and defeated. I wake up feeling ill every day and struggle to accomplish anything. I have lost my life's achievements and wealth, and I do not want to lose my husband as well, but I recognize he deserves to be happy. I just cannot come to terms with everything that has occurred. Does anyone have any valuable advice on what I should do? Thank you for taking the time to read all of this. Edit, during my working years, I sought employment near home to attend all our children's school functions and to assist my mother. I earned approximately one-third of what I might have made if I had commuted an hour into the city. Additionally, part of the discussion regarding property purchases with my husband arose from our consideration of divorce. I mentioned that I would not take half of his pension since I did not earn it, and proposed we pursue rental properties to create a stream of income for myself, as I am unable to work, and for retirement. Thus, preserving our wealth was beneficial for him as well. Story 2. After 13 years of being with my fiancé since I was 15, I ended things at 29 due to his emotional distance. No one should have to tolerate anything from anyone, I declared, feeling both empowered and guilt-ridden. Now I'm left wondering, was I truly justified? That is all. I had been with the same person since I was 15 or 16 years old, and on Friday, it came to an end. I texted him to ask if it was acceptable for me to go for a motorcycle ride with a group of friends the following day, and he replied that it was fine. I only asked him not to stay too late at my place because I needed to go to sleep early, and he usually stays up late or lies in bed on his phone. He came over, we watched television, and at around 9:30 p.m., half an hour before the time we had agreed he would leave, he said he wanted to talk. I was a bit upset because I knew the conversation would not be brief, but I agreed to listen. He mentioned that I had been distant for a while and that he felt anxious about seeing me, but also felt anxious when he actually did see me. He said I did not communicate much with him over text and did not share my life with him. I acknowledged that I had been more distant and explained that we were both experiencing a rough patch, something we had previously discussed. I said it was natural for things to take time, and in addition, during the past 2 months, a lot had occurred in my life, and I really needed more time alone to take care of myself and my responsibilities. In the middle of the conversation, we began revisiting past issues that I still held resentment about, matters I had addressed with him many times and which he had disregarded, but now he was suddenly the one asking for resolution. He then stated that he had also tolerated things about me, even though he did not express them. That was a turning point for me. It gave me the courage I had been searching for, and I expressed that no one should have to tolerate anything from anyone and requested to end the relationship. He argued that I was making a mistake and that the breakup was a unilateral decision. He insisted on repeating that several times, and now I feel terrible not only because the relationship ended with a person whom I still love and care for, but also because of the guilt I am experiencing. His belongings remain in my house. We have not spoken since then. I do not know what to do from this point forward. For context, he was never an emotionally connected partner, and often I felt as though we were more friends than a couple. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but therapy assisted me in recognizing how all of this influenced my personality and beliefs, given that I started the relationship at such a young age, and he played a significant role in my personal development. At the beginning of the relationship, about 2 years in, I discovered conversations between him and a friend where they were speaking quite disparagingly about a girl from school, someone in his social circle. The conversation was troubling and suggested that he would like to engage with her. We nearly broke up, but he pleaded in every possible way, claiming it was just teenage nonsense and that he had been influenced by that. We continued the relationship. Afterward, I became very jealous and anxious when he went out only with friends. It was a challenging period, but gradually, over the years, I managed to overcome it and trust him again. In college, which we attended together, he did not like holding my hand, as he said his hands became sweaty. I pleaded, cried, confronted him, but nothing worked. He stated he would not change his behavior. There were people during that time who remarked that they did not even realize we were a couple until they asked me. As far as I can recall, he was not particularly affectionate. Despite being very helpful through acts of service, the absence of genuine physical touch, hugs, caresses, and spontaneous gestures always affected me, leading to requests, complaints, and arguments. I also longed for emotional presence. The lack of curiosity and interest in what I wanted, what I did, or what was important to me was notable. An aesthetic procedure I underwent, which was the best decision I have ever made for myself and significantly boosted my self-esteem, he was completely uninvolved. He did not ask which doctor, how it would proceed, and did not accompany me to any appointments because he disagreed with me doing it, stating that I did not need it in his view. Or my therapy, which I postponed for a long time because he told me I would be throwing my money away. Over the years, I have heard phrases like, "You are too sensitive, you are exaggerating. It was just a joke. I already apologized. If you did not accept it, the problem is yours. The day was so good and you had to ruin it by bringing this up. You ask for too much, you demand too much. I am not going to apologize for something I do not think I am wrong about. What do you want? An apology? Okay, an apology, and do you know what your problem is? You." Some of these comments were disguised as jokes and followed by, "You are too sensitive." In the last 2 years, conditions have improved, but some of these statements still resonate within me to this day. We had been living a very quiet life for years. He would come to my house on weekends, we would watch television, eat at home, sometimes play games, and repeat. Many times we would sit on opposite sides of the couch on our phones. When I would lie on his lap after a few minutes, he would say his leg was numb. I would get up, and he would not suggest any alternative. We would simply return to sitting side by side, again without any physical interaction, at least until he wanted to have sexual intercourse. I do not have any friends, so after a while in therapy, I realized that this was an issue and began to seek activity groups with women who enjoy motorcycle riding like me. However, this always seemed to bother him in some way. I attempted to share my experiences, sending messages about it, but he displayed no curiosity and acted as if I had not even gone out, never inquiring about how it went. Whenever I went out with the group, I would feel anxious because I suffered in anticipation, worrying that when I returned, he would be cold or would do something as punishment. Going out alone without informing me, stating his phone battery had died, or going out with me and excluding me, treating me poorly, and not holding my hand because it was to avoid making the friends uncomfortable. There are many other issues that shaped me and accumulated over these years, matters that do not even fit here. I am sure there were issues on his end too. But while I asked, spoke, communicated, and argued, he never addressed anything. Apparently, he just tolerated. In December, something occurred that truly hurt me. I communicated this to him and I think he noticed my change. I would say that from that moment on, he changed significantly. He had been changing over the past year, but the changes became drastic from that point forward. However, I believe the switch in me also flipped, but in the opposite direction. It became increasingly difficult to maintain the passionate and dependent woman I once was. Therapy has been aiding me in connecting with other activities outside of the relationship and reconnecting with what I genuinely desire. In the last 2 months, many unfortunate events have unfolded in my life, one after the other. My parents had their car stolen, my phone was snatched while I was exiting an exam, I broke my finger, my workload overwhelmed me, I fell ill, and I spent a considerable amount of money on health expenses. My cat also became ill, which added further expenses. My niece was diagnosed with a chronic and relatively severe eye condition, among other challenges. All of this transpired within a short time frame, one issue after another. My family tends to seek my financial support and vent to me, yet they are not emotionally available. On the day my phone was stolen, I had to call banks, my phone provider, block emails, and change passwords. And during that time, my fiancé, now ex, and my niece were next to me making noise, laughing loudly, while I was trying to sort everything out, still shaken. I had to ask them to move to another room. Recently, the only support I perceived from him was financial, and this began to irritate me. Suddenly, he started offering me money to help with my expenses, as if that would resolve all my problems and hours. And no, I do not earn a small amount, and he does not earn more than I do. However, at the same time, he displayed no empathy, no curiosity about how I was feeling. He never inquired about how I felt, and this is not a new occurrence. Thus, I was somewhat managing this emotional burden on my own and in therapy, which is why I believe I have been notably more distant in recent months. Moreover, regarding texting, for many years, I requested that he communicate with me more frequently during the week when we were not physically together, and he consistently said, "I prefer to talk to you in person, I do not like texting," and I felt I had to accept that. Now seeing me distant, noticing his friends getting married and being in romantic relationships, he claims he wants a partnership, and then out of nowhere, he wants me to engage in activities that he had always kept me from pursuing, asserting that he himself did not enjoy them. He stated he changed, and that is fine, but I still harbor resentment, and even more now, because it seems that while I considered it important, he was not willing to change. I am writing all of this while crying, with my rational side taking precedence over my emotional side, trying to remember the reasons for the breakup. Yet I recall so many wonderful moments. I love him and ponder how difficult it will be without him by my side, and most importantly, I feel immense guilt, so much guilt, that fills my chest as if it is going to explode. I sincerely apologize for this lengthy text and for the poor writing. I just needed to share some of it.